Welcome to another edition of Comet Algebra. This video is for Algebra 2, Chapter 3, Section 1, Solving Systems Graphically. Now we're going to learn many different methods for solving systems of equations, so this is just the first method. So learning what a system of equations is defined to be its several equations containing two or more variables that we solve simultaneously. So we're going to be, in this section, finding an x and a y. Later on, we will learn to solve equations with maybe 3 variables, x, y, and z, and later on even 4 variables. So to solve these graphically, it's very simply, the solution, the answer, is the location on the graph where the graphs intersect. So the solution is an xy pair. When you graph two lines, there are 3 different possibilities that could happen. The first possibility is if we graphed 2 lines and they intersected in one point right here. That point is the solution. So when lines intersect once, there is one solution, and it is that ordered pair xy right at the intersection. The second possibility that could occur is called coinciding lines, where your calculator graphs the first line and then the second line graphs right over the top of the first one. And this is a little tough to see. So when this happens, and you suspect that this is one line on top of another, kind of look at your equations, and they would, if you reduced the equations, multiply them by a factor or divide them by a factor, you would end up seeing that they are indeed the same equation. When this happens, every single point that lies on these lines, one on top of another, all of those points are solutions. So there is an infinite number of solutions. And the way you have to state them, the whole line is the answer, or the answer is the line. So I'll just write down the solution is the line, and so you need to state the equation of the line when you're asked to state the solution. And there's the bell. Okay, the solution is the line, so your answer is going to look like an equation. The other possibility is that you graph the 2 lines, they run parallel, and they never cross, so there are no solutions. They don't meet at all. And when you suspect that this happens, because you might not be able to see the whole graph on your calculator screen, but go ahead and check the slopes, because we know when this happens, when you have parallel lines, their slopes are the same. So you can just confirm that if you're curious. All right, before we graph 2 lines and find the intersection, we could be asked a question: is the ordered pair 2, 1 a solution for this system? And so this is a yes/no question, and it would be just as simple as, if the x is 2 and the y is 1, does that make both of these equations true? So you could plug them in and do a quick check. So putting in the 2 where I see the x, and putting in the 1 where I see the y, for that first equation, 2 plus 2 is indeed 4, so this works. So this one's okay. And let's check the second equation, because it would have to be true for both of them in order for us to say yes. So putting in the 2 for the x, we have 2 times 2 plus the y is 1, and does that equal 3? And here I get 4 plus 1, so I'd have to say, 5 is not equal to 3, so this one doesn't work. So therefore this is no, this is not a solution to that system. So we plugged it in and tried it. For our next example, I'm going to look at one right out of your homework. So on page 110, number 8, these are the original equations. So the first thing we do is solve them both for y because we want to graph them and see where they cross. So I solved the first one for y and the second one for y, and then we enter these in the y equals key of our calculator and then hit graph. And if you do that, your graph should look something like this. And we are interested in finding the ordered pair right here where they cross. Now we cannot rely on looking at the graph with our eyes and trying to figure it out because sometimes it crosses at an integer and sometimes not. So we're going to use the intersection key on our calculator. So to do that, the intersection key is located, hit the second function, and above the word trace is this small word calc. So you hit second trace and a menu comes up, and on that menu I would like you to select the choice of, it's just called intersect. So when you go down and select that, now we need to answer some questions for the calculator. At the bottom of our screen right here, some questions appear. It'll say first curve, and then if we look up here, like my cursor is blinking on this blue line right here. So I'm going to hit enter to say yes, that's the first line I'm interested in. And now it's blinking on the red line and it's saying second curve. So it's asking me which two curves. Now it does use the word curve, but that could refer to anything, you know, a parabola. And it's just referring to a line in this case. And it's asking if the red line is the second curve, so I'm going to hit enter to say yes. And then this little word guess appears at the bottom of the screen. The calculator just needs a moment to spin through its calculations, so we human beings just have to pause a moment and hit enter to go past the word guess. And then when we do that, the word intersection should appear at the bottom of your screen. So it's telling you that it calculated the intersection of these two lines, and it should say x equals 1, y equals 3. So when that appears, it's telling us the intersection. That's the answer. And we can write our answer as an ordered pair 1, 3. All right, now you have the knowledge you need to do section 3.1. So have fun with that.